Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Vicki Iozia. I'm very proud to be president of the League of Women Voters. I'm so happy to see so many people here. This is important information that you're going to be learning. Could you please mute or turn off your cell phones? Because you know what happens if your cell phone goes off in the meeting, right? We all stop and stare at you. This meeting is being recorded for our members to see. And would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the Republic for Jesus' name. Right. I'm going to start by introducing our board members, and some of them I cannot introduce because they're outside. Linda Abels is outside. Linda Abels is back here. Linda is our membership chair. Scott is here. I saw him. Yes, I saw. Let's see. Maxine is here. It's going to be our time with soon. Dr. BJ is out. Jan Hall is here. She's usually back there. What we're going to come in and attend the meeting today, Jan? Peg Promo, second president. There she is. Deborah Steger, who is our treasurer, which there she is back here. Was Jean here today? Jean, yes, Jean is our secretary, the new secretary. I'd like to welcome new members, but I'm not sure if they're here today. Is Iris Hollis here? We'll hear their names anyhow. Susan and Richard Motley? No. Donna Lane? Donna Cerveza, you know, if you want to get something, there you are. Okay, great. How good. You want to get things done, you go to a busy person, right? And then you make that busy person totally crazy. There's a reminder of activities coming up on your seat. If you didn't get one, let Jan know and she will get you one. There are also brochures back there and they are free so you can help yourself. Our next meeting in September 11th, is going to feature the U.S. House of Representatives candidates, state senator, and mosquito control. And there's going to be a presentation on disinformation. Our October meeting is going to feature the Supervisor of Elections, Mo Baird, talking about election security. And I will be giving a presentation on the amendments with a little cheat sheet so you can write down how you want to vote in November. We are going to be having a holiday luncheon in December. We're planning it and it's going to be really great. So if you would put December 11th on your calendar and save it. I can't give you any details now because they'd ping me if I did. Wednesday, that's a detail. You know, you need a team. When you have a team of wonderful people who have your back and take care of you, it's the best thing in the world. Thank you, Deborah. And I am lucky. I am so lucky because I have such a wonderful group of people to work with. They make me look good. Do they? Yeah. Thank you. Our speaker today is Denise Dymond-Lyn. She serves as our Citrus County attorney. She's a native of New Jersey. Any other people from New Jersey? Janet. 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 She was hired by the Board of County Commissioners in December of 2014. Prior to joining Shouldn't touch these things. Denise maintained a private law practice in downtown Inverness for 18 years and was a lawyer with Brannan, Stinwell, and Perrin before that. Throughout her career, she has represented many local government entities, community associations, and individuals in various civil legal matters. Denise is board certified in local governmental law. Before embarking on her legal career, Denise served as in the United States Air Force and received a commendation medal for her efforts during Operation Just Cause, where the first Special Operations Wing was instrumental in bringing General Manuel Noriega to justice. Denise is a graduate of the University of Florida College of Law and holds an undergraduate degree in accounting from Troy State University. In her free time, Denise enjoys knitting, crafting, bicycle, kayaking, and hiking. Not in this weather. So please welcome our guest, Denise Dymond-Lyn.
While they're getting that set up, this doesn't sound like it's on.
It doesn't.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here. I feel like seeing all these judicial candidates brings back some memories when I campaigned several years ago. So please keep them in your prayers, because especially the candidates who are running for circuit judge, they're out there seeking almost 900,000 votes. In all 5 counties. So the circuit candidates are crisscrossing 5 counties, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But those candidates really do need our support, because they're probably getting very weary as the time is coming to an end. Turn me up. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
She missed the part where I was from Jersey. We talk loud in here. I'm honored to be here to speak with you all this morning and talk to you about the Florida court system, because inevitably this time of year during an election cycle, it seems that folks get their absentee ballots in their mail-in ballots in the mail, or they receive a sample ballot, and they know the candidates they're looking for, the folks that they're very familiar with, that they see, their commissioners, their senators, their representatives in the House. Then all of a sudden they get to the bottom of their ballot and they're thinking, who the heck are these people? These judges, law-abiding, and I don't ever deal with these judges. Why do I vote for the judges? And so I'm here today to try to help you understand the judges that you'll be or the positions that you'll be voting for, and maybe just shed a little light on the judicial system in Florida and explain. Oh, do not turn that on. Now, if we were in court, you might get a picture of time for that. But anyway, I'm going to start off briefly with just telling you a little bit about the Florida court system. I'm going to give you a little introduction. I think I've already done that. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court, the District Court, the Circuit Court, County Courts. I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between the appellate courts and the trial courts, and then the jurisdiction of each. So first up, we're going to look at the overall court system. You have the Supreme Court. There's one of those. There are 7 justices, one of which is the chief judge on the Supreme Court. We have 6 district courts of appeal. We used to have 5 for many, many years, and we just added a 6th due to caseloads. We have 20 judicial circuits and 67 county courts, which of course is representative of the 67 counties in the state of Florida. This is a map of Florida with the district courts of appeal listed. We are in the 5th. I don't know that I have a pointer, but the 5th is right here. We are here, and we are in the 5th district. Our court is over in Daytona for the District Court of Appeals. The circuit courts are listed here. We're in blue. It's the 5 counties, Citrus Lake, Sumter, Hernando, and Marion make up 5th Circuit. And you have some judicial candidates who are running for a circuit seat. And then, of course, our counties, which were there in blue and citrus. That kind of breaks it all down for you. Next, I want to talk about the difference between the trial courts and the appellate courts. So of the courts that we just talked about, the Supreme Court and the district courts, those are appellate courts. And basically, there are differences between the two. The trial courts, which are your circuit court and your county court, that's you kind of we're used to seeing trials on TV, different things like that, where you have the two tables up in the front, you've got one judge sitting somewhere up front, and then you have your jury. In the trial courts, that's where the evidence is presented by the lawyers and the judge. Sometimes you have a jury, sometimes you don't have a jury, depending on what type of case it is. But the jury or the judge acts as the finder of fact. In other words, the lawyers will present the evidence, and either the judge or the jury will make a determination of what that individual thinks the facts are based upon the evidence. And then the judge will apply the law to the facts, and that's kind of how we're all used to thinking of courts. That's very different from what we see in the appellate courts. In the appellate courts, you usually have, if you're at the Supreme Court, of course, you have all 7 justices. If you're at a district court, you'll have usually 3 judges. Sometimes they might have an associate judge that will sit there, but most of the time it's 3 judges. And those judges are basically looking at what we call a cold record. So there's not evidence and testimony. You don't see witnesses. You don't have a jury. You just have those 3 individuals sitting at the front, and you usually have lawyers making arguments to them. And those arguments will be arguing to the court, the 3-judge panel, how the lawyer believes that their client, before the trial court, which would be the circuit judges or the county court judges that we talked about, the ones who actually did the trial. Usually at the appellate level, the lawyers are arguing that somebody did something wrong below. In other words, in the circuit court or the trial court, the judge did something wrong. And they are at the appellate court trying to get the appellate court to agree with them that the judge made a mistake. And those mistakes that we often hear about, sometimes the judge let in evidence that the parties thought that the judge shouldn't let in. Or that, sometimes a defendant will claim that they're somehow incapacitated or should not be held accountable for their actions, and the judge didn't agree with them and made them stand trial when the party thinks that they shouldn't have had to stand trial. Those are just some minor issues that might be brought up at the appellate court. It's usually a procedural issue or a legal issue that maybe the lawyer and the client want to make a novel legal argument that we don't have precedent in Florida for, and they want to take it up to the appellate court level to see if they can get the appellate court judges to agree with them. When I say it's a cold record, that, like I said, there's no evidence, there's no testimony. It's all based upon a transcript of the trial below. The lawyers will submit briefs and make arguments in writing, and then also have an oral argument. So that's the big differences. I think I've laid all these out. And I just want to kind of summarize before we go on to jurisdiction. So as I talked about the Supreme Court, we have one of those, 7 justices. They are an appellate court, the 6 district courts. There are generally 3 judges, sometimes more, but most often 3. And they also hear appeals, and then the judicial circuits and the county courts, those are the trial court levels. The judges that you'll be voting on, if you haven't already voted, will be the circuit judges and the county judges. You, of course, will not deal with the Supreme Court or the District Court of Appeals until your next ballot in the general election, and I'm going to talk about those just a little bit. So what you're looking at now on your ballot is the judicial circuit and county. This is a kind of a busy slide, but basically, other than the distinction between the appellate courts, which is the top 2, and then the trial courts are the bottom 2, there are different jurisdictions for each of those courts. I always laugh when you'll see sometimes in the press, someone will say, I'm going to appeal that all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm going to appeal that to... The Supreme Court only hears certain cases. So, if someone is in most of the time, a dissolution case, for example, would not wind us up at the Supreme Court. I guess perhaps there might be some ways that it might find its way to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court has very limited jurisdiction, and they basically hear death penalty case. I don't think y'all can read these, so I will read these to you. The Florida Supreme Court hears death penalty cases, decisions of district courts invalidating a provision of the state constitution or statute. I think I should explain that one a little bit. So that is, for example, if the legislature, I don't know, maybe within the last year or two, decided to have some new novel legislative positions, new laws. Eventually, it would take a long time because getting up to the Florida Supreme Court does take a long time. But that is a situation where it starts out again at the trial court level, because that's where they all start at the trial. Imagine how long this might take. It starts at the trial court level. Someone wins or loses. Whoever loses takes it up to the district court level. The district court issues an opinion, and in that opinion at the district court, they say, we're not quite sure the legislature got this one right. And they will issue an opinion basically challenging that legislation, and that could perhaps make it up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court would decide whether or not that DCA, that district court, got it right or not. They also, for bond validations and public utility cases, each of them kind of makes me laugh. The district courts of appeals, it's all matters not directly appealable to the Supreme Court or the circuit court. Administrative appeals are provided by law. Circuit court, these are the ones you're most interested in for your upcoming election. These folks in the room here that you'll hear from later, they will be making decisions related to felonies, family law, civil cases where the amount in controversy is over $50,000, probate, guardianship, mental health. And the probate arm of the court is where the probate issues, a lot of times, I remember when I was campaigning, I'm sure some of these folks might have heard the same things. I would hear from people, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Why am I interested in voting on judges? One of the things I would explain to them is, well, you may be law-abiding, but there are some issues, family-related issues, relationship issues, that go before the courts, and these folks in this room will be making decisions relating to probate. If a family member passes away, if a family member needs a guardianship, if a relationship falls apart and you have a dissolution. So it's not always about criminal law. You have to also consider that these folks will be instrumental in your families and the lives of your children and your relatives, because they do deal with probate, juvenile dependency and delinquency. Appeals of decisions in certain administrative, non-criminal infractions and other types of cases. That appellate jurisdiction I deal with quite a bit. If someone doesn't like a decision of the Board of County Commissioners and they want to appeal that decision of the Board of County Commissioners, which is where I deal with it most, those appeals originate in the circuit court. And then we go down to the county court. They deal with misdemeanors, civil cases less than $50,000, no claims less than $8,000, and then traffic infractions. There are some other jurisdictional issues on the other side, which, and this recently changed. If you want to appeal a decision of the county court, you go right up to the district court on that appeal, whereas you used to go from the county court to the circuit court. And then the Supreme Court validating a state statute, construction of law or constitutions, decisions. Oh, these are the mandatory jurisdictions of the Supreme Court. And these are the permissive jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court may consider cases of that nature on the other side there.
Magistrates fit in just at the county court level?
Circuit court level, and I believe that they also can be appointed to do county issues, traffic, child support enforcement. Those are the circuit court level. I would also say that I was going to talk about non-court, but we're here to talk about court, so that wraps up. This is a summary slide. It's very complicated, but it basically just sets out that the trial courts are the first two, the appellate courts are the top two, and kind of just summarizes what I've already said. And that's pretty much the court system in Florida. I did say I wanted to touch on the district court judges. So in your general election, you will have some district court judges. I don't know if any of the Supreme Court justices are on this year. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up in advance. But you'll remember, or if you voted in Florida before, you'll remember that we vote to retain or not retain the district court judges and the Supreme Court judge. Now, a few years ago, I haven't checked recently, but I know as at least in 2014, never in the state of Florida had we had a judge who was not retained. So I kind of wonder about that process that we have of voting to retain or not retain, since it never seems to that we don't retain someone. I will say that one of the things that happens, I think, with the judicial candidates is when the voter is looking at the ballot, whether it's their vote by mail ballot, or they're looking at their sample ballot, you have some choices when it comes to judicial candidates, because I think you know that they're not, or excuse me, I'll tell you, they're nonpartisan. Judicial candidates are not even able to tell you what party they're affiliated with because of the judicial canons. Likewise, they're also not permitted to tell you what their personal thoughts or feelings are on a particular issue. And I know that when I was campaigning, many voters didn't like that. They didn't like that. They wanted me to tell them, how I felt about this or that or the other thing. Death penalty, for example, was one that I kept getting asked. And I would just say to you, when you're trying to make your decision on the judges, it's difficult because you don't really know where their heads are. I would lean more towards when you're looking at the ballot, you want a judge, I think, who is going to not let their personal thoughts and opinions influence their decision. This is me, not as a candidate. I can say these things. The judicial candidates can't tell you that. But I would say, I would have people run up to me and say, I want you to remember me if I ever come before you. Respond to them and say, actually, you don't want a judge who will remember who you are. You want a judge who's going to be impartial. And I think that we've got a great class of judicial candidates here. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you and kind of explain some of the things about the judicial system. And I look forward to hearing from the candidates.
Denise, did you take my papers?
Left your pennies there. There's your pennies there.
I'm not going to my notes. Please mute or turn off cell phones and watches. My mother used to say that to me, and I used to tell her, you're not a dog, and you're not doing tricks. Okay, now we are shifting to the meet and greet portion. And before I shift, can we just give another round of applause to them? Thank you so much for coming. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, and that means we do not endorse political candidates. The candidates here have accepted the invitation to introduce themselves and talk about their plans. These introductions will be given a maximum of 3 minutes long. Now, what am I going to do now? Go ahead, say it. Cattles. I'm not doing cattles today. Maxine is doing cattles today. She will be timing. She will give our speakers a yellow paddle at 2 minutes. She will give a red paddle.
Oh, the other way though.
Well, just the red paddle at 3 minutes. If she starts to shake that paddle, you're past 3 minutes. I have to say, everything we have for the meet and greet has been so compliant. It's been great.
It should be.
After the introductions, each participant will be at their table, and they can answer individual questions from members of the audience, and they will have brochures and individual handouts. So are we ready?
Yes.
Our first speakers are from the Citrus County Judges Group 3, and our first speaker is Amber May Thomas.
I'll take it. I don't need more papers. Okay. All right. Good morning. I think we're still in the morning. Yes. Good morning, everyone. As you mentioned, my name is Amber Thomas, and I'm running for county court judge here in Citrus County. Most of you guys probably have already heard our speeches and heard all about us, but quick background, I grew up in Citrus County. I have lived here my whole life, and I'm honored to be able to raise my son here in the same community that I grew up in. So I'm not repeating the same stuff that I've said over and over. I want to tell you guys something about why I'm doing this. So before I went to law school, I did an externship my senior year of high school, and I worked at a local law firm in Crystal River. He did mainly criminal defense at that time and some property, but mainly criminal defense. I was working front desk and I saw this gentleman come in. I have never seen a grown man cry like this man was crying in his office. So I called up the attorney. I told him his appointment was here. He went in, he met with him. When the gentleman left, he was a completely different person. So I asked him, what did you tell the guy? Because I was expecting, oh yeah, I told him we got this. We're gonna win your case. And he said, well, I told him the facts that the state has. I told him what our likely chances are. And I told him that it doesn't look good for him. And I said, right, but he was happy. Like he was doing good. He told me the most important thing when you're dealing with people is to be honest with them, to be respectful and to be truthful. And I was like, holy moly, what a concept in the legal field. That's not what you imagine. So I knew at that moment that I wanted to go into the law and I wanted to do something good. After I graduated law school, which took a little bit longer because I had my son my first semester of law school. So I got pregnant my first semester, had him after my first year. I had to take some time off because my husband worked with the Tampa Bay Rays and was gone from about February to September. So I was in law school with a brand new child pretty much by myself, but I graduated. And after I graduated, I came back to Citrus County and I started working as a staff attorney. This gave me the opportunity to work with the judges. That's where I saw that the impact that judges have on the people in front of them are made by the relationships that they have. If you treat people with respect, you treat people with dignity and make them responsible for the choices that they make, that's where the difference is. And that's why I am running for county judge, because I want to be that example to my son. If you have a goal, you focus on it, you work hard for it, but you also can be successful in life without being a butthead. I know that, but that's what I've learned, that you can be respectful. And I think as a judge, that's what's important. And I've seen judges that are amazing, and I've seen judges that are not so amazing. And I've learned from all of them because I've worked side by side with them. I've dealt with exactly what's happening in the county court level. And so I'm asking for your vote on August 20th for Amber May Thomas as county court judge. Thank you.
And our next speaker is Lisa Elaine Yeager.
You want some? Thank you. I think that's the first time they've said my middle name when they called me up.
And you're not in trouble.
And I'm not in trouble. Yeah, my mother whipped out that middle name and you knew you were in trouble. So I think a lot of you have also heard my speech, but I'm going to kind of give it like a modified, a little bit about me. Again, my name is Lisa Yeager. I'm a sixth generation Floridian who chose to move to Citrus County. I grew up in Osceola County. Downtown Inverness reminded me of home. So when I graduated law school in 2000 from the University of Florida College of Law, I moved to Citrus County in 2000 and I began working at the state attorney's office. I've handled, at this point in my 14 years total with the state attorney's office, I've handled everything from your simple misdemeanor traffic offenses all the way up to attempted murder. I'm currently the sex crimes prosecutor, crimes against children here in the county. That's what I do every day when I'm not on vacation, like right now. For 10 years, however, in the middle, I did take a break and I was a private attorney. I handled criminal defense, small claims civil, circuit civil, a lot of family law. And there's a lot that falls under the realm of family law. Child custody, child support, dependency, or DCF takes kids away. I've represented the parents and I've also represented the children. I've been appointed to represent them. I've spent my entire 24 years in the courtroom. In the courtroom fighting, whether it's for the people of the state of Florida or my client. I've had to handle both sides. What Ms. Thomas talked about, the client coming in, absolutely. You have to be open and honest with your client. But as a state attorney, you also have to be open and honest with your law enforcement. You have to look at everything. Now, the one thing I think you're going to hear from all of these other judges is, if I moved a little, I'm sorry, is experience in the courtroom, because that's where you're going to get your experiences in the courtroom. You can sit in an office and do paperwork and talk to people, but when you get in that courtroom, that's where you get your experience from. I've had more than 50 jury trials. I've handled more than 100 trials total. I know I've had a lot of jury trials. I just didn't want to go through and try and figure every one of them out. I've done a lot of non-jury trials, which are some things that can be done in the county court level. I've argued hundreds of hearings, whether it's 3850s, motions to suppress, motions to dismiss, child hearsay hearings. All of these have been in the circuit court, some in the county court. I've argued them all. I've filed them. I've defended them. The difference between my opponent and I, she has done none of that. She hasn't been in the courtroom that much. She hasn't done any trials, and she's argued far less hearings than I have. I would just simply ask for you to do your research, vote on the candidate that is the most qualified in that courtroom. I'm second on the ballot, first in experience. Folks, vote for Lisa Yeager for county judge on or before August 20th. Thank you.
I think people are afraid of the microphone. You think so? Next, the Fifth Circuit Judges, Group 7. First one is Erin Daly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Finley. Trying to decide glasses on and off. I want to see you. My name's Erin Daly. This is an open seat that I'm running for. It's not the county level seat. It's the second level of trial person. And can you hear me okay? I don't think this is working anyway. I don't think we're afraid of this, Miss Vicky. I just don't think it's working. I'll just talk louder. I have 35 years experience inside of a courtroom. I started as a teenager. At 19 years old, I followed my father's footsteps into law enforcement. They gave me a badge and a gun and threw me in a courtroom, and I was the uniformed court officer. So I started in a courtroom from a position of neutrality, running the courtroom, coordinating jury trials, working with a lot of judges over many, many years. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to go to Brooklyn Law School. I graduated in 2006 and came here to Florida, where I worked at the state attorney's office first in Brooksville. I also worked here in the Inverness Courthouse and up in Ocala. I was in charge of the Special Victims Unit, and during my 16 plus years as a prosecutor, I've taken over 60 cases to jury trial and handled hearings and tens of thousands of cases, most of them crimes against children, domestic and sex crimes. I was also specially assigned by the Attorney General to handle some complex human trafficking cases, where I was awarded Prosecutor of the Year for the state of Florida a couple of years ago. I also worked in private practice briefly, handling circuit court type cases. I'm a big, steadfast believer in continuing education. I have much more than is legally required. I probably should have about 150. I have like 700 hours in all areas of the law. I also prepare and present legal seminars to police, law enforcement, lawyers, community groups. I was a bailiff for all those years while I was going to college and law school at night. So I know about hard work. I'm also a uniform 9/11 first responder. This is about proven integrity. I've been endorsed by many local leaders. Oh, your school board member standing here in this room, like the courtroom. I feel like it. Has endorsed me, as has Sheriff Farmer from Sumter, Sheriff Gurnell from Lake County, and the Fraternal Order of Police, the professional firefighters of Citrus County, and many other counties, because first responders know who is ready to do all the hard work. I've also been honored at the White House for disaster relief. My favorite one of the awards is called the Champion of Justice. That was by the Dawn Center, a domestic violence center, for my work in prosecuting those type of crimes. I'm not just a candidate. I'm going to be your next judge. Please vote for me. Yeah.
I'm gonna use this anyhow. The next speaker from Fifth Circuit, Group 7, is H. Derek Saltzman.
Thank you. Well, my name is Derek Saltzman, and I apologize for being late. I have a 13-year-old daughter who informed me this morning she needed a physical for volleyball tryouts today. And it was an emergency. So I had to take her to get a physical. I do apologize. My mother raised me to always rather be 30 minutes early than a minute late, and I apologize. Well, I've been a practicing attorney for 24 years. I've been in the courtroom. I have been defending the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida for 24 years. Now, I have done civil matters, which family law, as Ms. Lynn indicated earlier. I've handled divorces, civil cases up to and over $50,000. I've done entertainment law. I've handled probably several hundred family law cases. I've also handled at least 1,000, more than that, of criminal cases. And I've been on the criminal defense side. Now, you probably are wondering, well, he's a criminal defense attorney. Nobody trusts them. We trust Station Sushi. However, the reason I'm a criminal defense attorney is I'm protecting the Constitution. I'm not necessarily defending the person that is charged with a crime, because many of them are guilty as heck. But I'm defending their rights under the United States Constitution. And if their rights are taken and infringed upon, then mine could be next. Yours could be next. Now, I was raised on a farm here in Florida. I've been here for 52 years in Hernando County. I grew up with a bunch of boys, a bunch of delinquent boys. My dad decided that he wanted to have a boys' ranch. It was his calling. So I was raised with these gentlemen, and I use that term loosely, because he only wanted the worst of the worst. And his requirement was they had to go to church with us. And as a good Southern Baptist, we went to church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Monday night for visitation. So that's how I was raised. I have, like I said, I've been in the court system for 24 years, not watching, not doing, getting meals for jurors or whatever. I was actually practicing law. And I've received endorsements from people that I've worked with. Now, why is that important? Because they actually know me. They know my temperament. They know the type of judge that I would become. These gentlemen and these individuals have all endorsed me. And why? Because I have the temperament to be a judge. So I'm asking you to vote for me either this week or next week on the Tuesday. Yeah.
Circuit Judges Group 13, the incumbent is Heidi Davis.
Hi, good morning. Thank you all for coming out this morning. As she just said, I am the incumbent. I am actually the only judicial candidate here who is a judge. I have been a circuit court judge since 2010, 14 years just about. And during that time, I did everything on that slide that Denise showed you. I have done family law. When I say I have done, I have presided over family law cases, delinquency cases, dependency cases, probate, civil jury trials, civil non-jury trials, anything that a circuit court judge can do, I have sat on that docket. For the last 5 years, I've actually been seated doing felony criminal trials, and that has included everything up to death penalty. So for experience, I pretty much have that wrapped up. It's been 14 years, and I think I've done a fine job during those 14 years. I'm going to kind of branch off a little bit here. I also have some endorsements. I'll be happy to talk to you at the table if you want to come over. But I will say I'm feeling a little giddy. I don't know if it's pure exhaustion or just, this has been a very long summer for all of the candidates. I have put over 5,500 miles on my car since the 1st of May, going out and campaigning, as have each and every one of the circuit court candidates. I want to say thank you to all of them for traveling with us and being together. They have made this just a terrific experience. And each and every one of them has worked their heart out and run a very ethical campaign. So for that, I'd like to have a round of applause. I know many of you have already voted, so it's a testament to come out and see if you made the right choice, I guess. Backtracking at this point, right? Thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking the interest in who is running your government and your courts. And if you haven't voted, I would certainly appreciate the consideration. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Fifth Circuit Judge Group 13, the other candidate is Zach McCormick.
I've known this microphone all day, I can tell. Well, first and foremost, I was blown away by that presentation by Ms. Dymond-Lyn, and I'll be candid, I wish we could have brought her to every single one of these. Folks, my name is Zach McCormick, and I do believe it's time for a change. That's why I'm running for circuit judge in the 5th Judicial Circuit, seat 13. It's something that you all should know out of the gate, and it's something that I heard Ms. Dymond-Lyn touch on. I am a constitutionalist. That means I believe that judges have to enforce the law the way that it was, not according to some personal beliefs, because in so doing, we ensure that there is equal protection for every citizen under the law. And folks, moving forward from there, some of you may already have heard me speak, but for those that haven't, just a little about me. On a personal note, I've been married to my high school sweetheart now for nearly 20 years. She's putting up with me in public. She's been there at every one of these campaign events. I really appreciate what was said earlier because she's been there every step of the way, and I owe her a tremendous debt of gratitude. Professional. I've been practicing law for 15 years. I started in the public sector. That's where I cut my teeth. I then decided to open my own law firm, and I've had a civil litigation practice now for more than a decade. In addition, I'm currently chair of the Judicial Nominating Commission for this very 5th Circuit, every one of the 5 counties within it. And that has required me to help pick judges in between elections. Now, in addition to that, I have admission to the federal bar here in Florida, the U.S. Middle District. I'm certified by the Florida Supreme Court as a mediator at both the county and circuit levels, and I'm actually the code enforcement magistrate for the town of Howey in the Hills. For a full list of my credentials, though, You can go to my website, or we do have the luxury of being able to answer questions after this portion of the event. So please come by and speak to me. Folks, my priority is to get it right the first time. Put the hard work in. Make sure that we avoid the risk of having an appeal. The old saying is, hard work every day keeps the appellate courts away. And it's as true today as it ever has been, because no victim should have to relive the horrors of a case twice, folks. The taxpayer shouldn't be asked to foot the bill to have more than one trial. Folks, history is being made at lightning speed. I ask that you join me and be a part of it. I'm asking for your vote for Circuit Judge on August 20th, and my name is Zach McCormick. Thank you very much.
And our Fifth Circuit Judges Candidates Group 20, Ken Boyston.
Morning, everybody. As you can tell from the picture on my brochure that we handed out, I do own a necktie. It's a long story. I can actually relate very much to what Mr. Saltzman was saying. My 3-year-old son is going through a door locking phase. And he had some fun this morning, and that set us back in terms of getting ready. I rushed out of the house to get him to school, and I forgot my necktie, so I'm sorry. My name is Ben Boylston, and I'm running for circuit judge because, like many, if not most of you, if not all of you, I'm concerned about the judicial system in this state and in this country. I'm concerned as a lawyer, I'm concerned as a citizen, and I'm concerned as a father. Now, I've always believed that when a person puts on a robe and takes the bench, it's not about them anymore. It's about principles much greater than they are. It's about protecting the community at the same time that you protect people's rights. It's about fairly and impartially applying the law exactly as it is and not how the judge wants it to be. Now, I think we've all seen in this state and in this country that it's not always that way. But in my courtroom, it will be. And I understand how important these principles are because during my nearly 20-year career as an attorney, I've had many different perspectives. I have prosecuted criminal cases. I've represented criminal defendants. I've represented crime victims. I've filed lawsuits. I've drafted contracts. I represent small city governments, have represented small city governments. And I even serve right now part-time as the special magistrate for the city of Tiberias, where I hear cases and I decide them. I issue orders. And it may or may not come as a surprise to you that when two neighbors have a dispute about the property next door, things can get pretty heated. But it's my job as the magistrate to listen to both sides, to keep things calm, and make sure that everybody feels like at the end of the day, they got a fair hearing, even in situations where the law compelled me to rule against them. That's important because as judges, we are ambassadors of the legal system. The opinion that people have about the judicial system depends in large part on the judge and how they felt like they were treated by the judge. I understand that. I also understand, and I am very proud of this fact, I'm a business owner, and I have been since 2013. I sign both sides of a paycheck every month. I feel the effects of inflation both ways, as a business owner and as a citizen. This is important experience that not everybody has, but it helps me relate to regular people that come in front of me. It will help me because regular people feel these things. So many people are small business owners and they feel pinch of things that I feel as well as a business owner. So I have the best resume in this race. I am the best candidate. I am the best choice for circuit judge. I would humbly ask for your vote on August 20th or before. Thank you very much for your time.
And our last speaker, also for the Fifth Circuit Judges Group 20, is Barbara Kotaski-Kisner.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Kwiatkowski. I've been an attorney about 30 years. I started doing civil cases and criminal cases. I tried 45 jury trials. In 2006, I was appointed to hear cases here in the Fifth Circuit. And in 2016, I was appointed as a general magistrate. For those that don't know, a general magistrate's daily duty is the same as a judge. I was assigned cases, circuit court cases. I set them for hearing. I reviewed them. I researched the law. I listened to the facts. I applied the facts to the law as written, not as I wanted, as written, and made decisions. Since 2006, I've done that over 70,000 times. So while some candidates may say that this is what they will do, I have a track record over 70,000 cases, and I encourage you to look them up. If there's any wacky ones, let me know, because there's never been a complaint. I also teach at Florida Judicial College. So all newly elected or appointed magistrates and judges throughout the state of Florida have to attend this special training. I've been on the faculty since 2017, teaching such courses as case management, how to write orders, how to work with interpreters, recusals, disqualifications, you name it, I've taught it. In 2023, I was recognized as the Florida Judicial College Leadership Award. I had to resign in April of this year to run for office, but I did that because I believe I have the best qualifications, and I'm the kind that goes and gives 110%. I started early childhood court in Sumter County. That's a specialty court that focused on babies in the 0 to 3 range in the dependency system. I also restarted that in Marion County, as well as drug dependency court. So I give 110% and do those jobs that maybe the other magistrates or judges don't want to do. Outside of court, in my spare time, I have been married 28 years. I have 3 children. My son recently graduated from the United States Naval Academy. So now he's a Marine, and we are a Blue Star family, and I am a proud Marine mother. I also have taught Sunday school for 10 years. I'm involved in Scouts. So any Eagle Scout that wants to apply for the Eagle Scout rank between Ocala and Live Oak and Lake City comes through me and my team. And I also work with Cub Scouts because, you know, they're just so darn cute, all the way up to Big Scouts. I have been endorsed by the Orlando Sentinel, and if you have not had an opportunity, those interviews are online, free on YouTube. I've also been endorsed by Gregory Harrell, the Clerk of Court in Marion County, as well as the Fraternal Order of Police District 7, which encompasses all 5 counties, as well as a few other counties. So I have the experience, and I would be humbly honored to have your vote between now and Saturday or on Tuesday. Barbara Kwiatkowski, thank you.
I don't know about you folks, but I'm blown away by the experience of with these people. Can we have a huge round of applause for all of it? Now, the main part of our meeting is over. However, they're here. You can talk to them, you can ask them questions, pick their brains. So thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you at our next meeting, I hope.